These are live images from the Mexican side of the U.S. border. The Biden administration announces it will work with Mexico to allow 24,000 Venezuelans to enter the country while expelling those who try to cross illegally. Griff Jenkins is live in Piedras Negras, Mexico, with the latest. Griff.
Hey, Rich, we are on the Mexican side in Piedras Negras across from Eagle Pass, and you can see here we've been here since well before the sun came up, a clear path. It's strewn with all sorts of trash that's been left behind, water bottles, clothes, and actually this is a rope made out of clothes that they use the migrants to go across the river. I can take you across the river and point to see how short the distance is. The water's only about waist deep over here. Now, let me show you footage we shot a few hours ago. Take a look at this. This is a group of about a dozen Nicaraguan migrants came right down this path and went right across that river. The smugglers not even bothered by the fact that we were here with our cameras rolling. In fact, I can show you a little bit more video. At one point, I was able to speak with one of the smugglers about how much it would cost. He says about $500 to $1,500 just to make the cross to the U.S. But if the migrants wanted to then be driven to San Antonio or Houston, that would be upwards of $9,000 to $10,000. Now, all of these images, which is a daily occurrence here, is a contrast to from DHS Secretary Mayorkas, who told this to the Daily Morning News. He says the political cry that the border is open is music to the smugglers' ears because they take that political rhetoric and market it. Well, take a look again at this video. Now, this is the group of migrants that crossed in the early morning hours. About 150 to 200 crossed into Eagle Pass and were taken into custody by the Border Patrol. Many will be processed and released, unless they are, of course, Venezuelan now, along with Central Americans and Mexicans. And finally, speaking of Venezuelans, this final video we've now shot 2 days in a row with our Sky drone, and that is Venezuelans being transferred, Title 42 expelled on the international bridge between Eagle Pass and Piedras Negras. Then the migrants in Mexican custody are then sent to the interior, we're told, to Matamoros. Unclear exactly where they will be going, but one thing they're not going is into the U.S. under this new agreement. And by the way, the Mexican side only accepting about 200 Venezuelans to be Title 42'd each day on this specific area. Rich?
Griff, get into a little bit more. Some of the political talk in Washington, or much of it actually, is focused on, is the border open? It's not open. Democrats, Republicans, even some Democrats among themselves have been at odds over this rhetoric. What exactly are you hearing from smugglers there? How difficult is it to cross from where you are to get across the river to into the United States?
Yeah, and, you know, Rich, that's why we came here to the Mexican side, because as you can see, the border is quite wide open. In fact, just before we were talking, literally, you can look over here on this Mexican little inlet, there's a dog. A dog was going back and forth, and even a gentleman that was part of the smuggling operation crossed back to the U.S. side to collect the leftover clothes to bring them back, perhaps to resell them or, you know, do whatever he's going to do with them. But we wanted to try and catch the action while it was happening, and we asked the smuggler whether or not he says the border is open or closed. Here's a little bit of that exchange. It's in Spanish, but I think you'll get the point. Listen. ¿La frontera está abierto o cerrado? Abierta. ¿Abierta? Sí. Border Patrol, eh? Sí, no. Yeah, just waving off the Border Patrol, saying that's no concern. Really, their biggest concern, apparently, in talking with some of the smugglers, is being caught by Mexican officials, the INM Mexican immigration folks, catching the smugglers before they send the groups across. But if they really wanted to make a hard effort to stop it, it's not very hard. We found it in one day. I'm pretty sure the Mexican officials can find it as well. Rich?
And Griff, but you still are getting, now Venezuelans especially, who are getting sent back across towards you into Mexico.
Yeah, that's right. You know, we have a handful of things we've collected here, Colombian, Cuban passport, but there's a Venezuelan passport that was dropped this morning, apparently. It is sort of telling that Venezuelans now don't want to be identified. I believe we have a soundbite. I was able to talk to some Venezuelans on the U.S. side on Thursday when this new rule really had kicked in. They were totally unaware. Here's a little bit of our exchange. Listen to this.
Did you know Venezuelans return to Mexico now?
Mexico ahora.
No, we did not know anything. They treat us badly in Mexico. We have no one there. It is dangerous.
So that's the situation with the Venezuelans. Again, it's sort of becoming a big issue here because the shelters on this side, we went by a Casa del Migrante, and they're planning on seeing more Venezuelans, although they don't have them just yet. By the way, we're just going to turn Mike for a second. The dog made a crossing. He was hot, so he went into the river. He was on the U.S. side, and now here's this dog. We're not sure whether it's a Mexican dog or a United States dog, but he didn't have any problem, and neither do anyone else. They want to come across this border, at least in this area, in Piedras Negras. Rich?
Well, Griff covering it all from the border. On the Mexican side, Griff Jenkins, thanks so much for joining us.